It's kind of interesting how easy things become once we've begun. And again, this comes from reflection on my own life, both in conversations I've recently had and also in basically projects I've recently had, where it's like there's been like this insurmountable task in front of me. But it's like once I began and took it day by day, I'm able to get much farther than I expected I would. Or at least it feels a lot different than how, like, it, when you're first looking at something, it's like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, and I have to do that. But it's like taking it step by step. But beginning, first of all, is the most important part. And again, there is like the continuing to keep on stepping, but eventually you get to that sunk cost where it's like, okay, now I pretty much have to finish it. So it's like, and then there's kind of that thing there that we can mentally trigger in ourselves eventually. But I think part of the issue is that we often skip over this process in stories. And then we rather have a training montage because most people would see it as boring when it's the same day after day after day. But I think there's a bit of development there in that there is a mental process we go through where we're developing that fortitude to keep on going rather than just having it happen to us in like the few minutes that a training montage will take up in a movie. And then there is that development of a character when they've not only made the decision to do it, but they're learning how to do it. So you can have all these little snippets as they go through it. Rather than just having it be that few minutes, you could make it the highlight of the story, or at least the main middle part, if you needed to expand the story in whatever way. But in, it's just sort of interesting how we generally skip that over because that's sort of where we are most of the time. We're in the middle of things. We aren't always beginning something and we aren't always finishing something. We're in the process. And again, it's that beginning of the process that makes things easier, but we need to also keep going in them. And then sometimes we have to give grace for ourselves, even when our first steps don't really turn out the way we want them to. It's like how many writers have been rejected over time, or how many, like, the first introductions are basically like, oh yeah, now we can say hi to each other, when they aren't just like, oh, we're the new besties or whatever. So I think that's key, is to be okay with starting small in a sense, but also to keep going and building up those small steps until we reach our destination at the end. But anyway, those are my thoughts on this. But why not let me know what you think as well?